This is the second in a series of workshops that the city is holding so that the city council and the community can have up-to-date current information on what is going on with the application and the submittal to the city by HomeFed for Fanita Ranch. We're not, on staff level, we're not here to advocate for or against the project, but to increase the transparency and to allow the community to have a chance to see what's actually in the application and what's been proposed, so that you can form your own opinions and so the city council members can form their own opinions about the project. There's no action on the part of the council tonight. This is just a workshop. It's to gather information and hear information from all parties relative to the project. Staff is going to give a presentation about the actual facts of the project itself. The applicant will have a chance to provide their information, and then, Mr. Mayor, we would take public comment at that point, I assume. As this is a very large project here in our community, it's very important for us to have good transparency. The project is in the phase of an EIR. At the end of that, there will be an opportunity for the community to provide comments, for people to give their input, and we want to make sure that you don't have to wait to the end of the EIR process. You can start hearing what's going on with the project now, start forming your own opinions, and have an opportunity to start creating your own little checklist of items you may or may not want to comment on relative to the EIR. So this is an opportunity for us to increase transparency and let people know what is actually in the application and what's going on with the project. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Melanie Cush, our Director of Development Services, to start us off with the application itself.
Thank you. Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council members, this is, as Marlene Best said, the second of a series of workshops, and this one is going to be about transportation and the circulation network for the Fanita Ranch project. There are two parts to this presentation. First, a short project overview and the minor changes that have taken place since the first workshop was held. The second part, it will be presented by HomeFed, and HomeFed will provide more details on the improvements to State Route 52 and the circulation system designed for the Fanita Ranch villages. While not required, HomeFed has chosen to tie the occupancy of the first home to the completion of State Route 52 improvements, which is why we will be talking about those in conjunction with tonight's workshop. Just as a recap, because this is such a large project, when we first brought this to you in May, we wanted to identify the key project components, and I will do so in the next slide. This one identifies all of the applications that are involved in this complex project. The environmental review of the project is required, although it's not listed there as an EIR. We had our first scoping meeting in November of last year, and this EIR is still a work in progress. Fanita Ranch is shown in the yellow boundary and represents 2,638 acres and would be accessed through extensions of Fanita Parkway, Cuyamaca Street, and Magnolia Avenue. And in part, this is the subject of tonight's workshop. This is the proposed overall site plan, and as we shared last time, development is clustered in three general areas. We have Fanita Commons, we have Orchard Village, Vineyard Village, and then a special use area down in the southern portion of the property. Project by the numbers was presented in May, but they have been revised slightly. The total number of dwelling units is still 2,949, but the mix between medium density and low density residential has changed a little bit. What we thought would be prudent to do tonight is acknowledge that the school site is represented as an overlay. And if the school is not developed for that, if the site is not developed for an educational purpose, then the underlying land use is medium density residential and would add another 59 units, bringing the total number of units that could be developed to 3,008. Mobility on the site itself focuses on reducing the number and length of the vehicle trips and providing alternatives to fossil fuel-powered vehicle use. This would be achieved through organizing the land uses to locate services and goods close to each other and within walking distance. It would also optimize walking, biking, ride-sharing, and the use of electric vehicles on these streets is included. As the project is constructed over the 10 to 15 year period estimated by HomeFed, these land uses will generate vehicle trips. At project build-out, about 26,300 to 26,500 average daily trips will be generated. Therefore, the maximum number of average daily trips is taken into account when traffic impacts are analyzed. Trip generation, based on land use, will influence the street design, their classifications, their width, the design speed, the number of lanes on the road, and including the bike lanes that are required under our mobility element. So, for my part, I'm ending here by reminding the community and the council that it's important to stay informed. The city's website will have notices of future workshops and any information that is relevant as we move closer to the release of an EIR. Check the Fanita Ranch website, check social media, and of course you can always come to our offices. So Jeff O'Connor with HomeFed will continue with a multimedia presentation on this subject.
We're just loading the presentation.
Is there a defective actuator there?
We have technical, standby for technical expertise in action. Here we go.
Ready to go, Chris? Thank you, Melanie. And Mr. Mayor, thank you for the 9/11 remembrance. It was excellent. Good evening, City Council, Mayor, City staff. My name is Jeff O'Connor. I work for HomeFed Corporation, developers of Fanita Ranch. As you know, we have been planning Fanita Ranch for more than 5 years. During this time, we have held meetings, workshops, and participated in city events such as the street fair. We did this to learn what is important to Santee. The common topic always seems to be traffic, and that is what the focus of our presentation will be tonight. Over the next few minutes, I will show you how traffic with Fanita Ranch will be better and less congested than it is today. We are adding more cars to Fanita Ranch, absolutely. And I know some of you might be skeptical, but please give me a chance to share what our plan is all about. My presentation will last about 15 minutes, after which I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you for this opportunity. I would also like to thank Caltrans staff, our traffic engineers LLG who are here tonight, and of course city staff Melanie, Marty, Scott, John, and Minji. Traffic is a huge challenge, but it's not just a challenge for Santee. It's a challenge for San Diego County. You have traffic up in North County on 78, 5 down the coast, 805 coming up from Chula Vista. But we have a unique opportunity here. Fanita Ranch can improve traffic for Santee residences. And in Santee, we'll show you how that's going to be done. We're going to focus on 3 areas tonight. Improvements to SR 52, local streets, so they're going to be expanded and improved, and then we're going to look at the on-site streets within Fanita Ranch. So Sandag has basically kicked the can down the road until 2050 to fund any improvements to SR 52. As a matter of fact, last Friday, I believe, I wasn't at the meeting, but I believe that they might have kicked the can further down the road past 2050. So basically, we're not going to get any money from 52, or it's very unlikely for improvements from Sandag for improvements for 52. So we have spent years of studying and millions of dollars on this project. We've been working with the SR 52 coalition with the city and with Caltrans. And so let's look at what the plan is going to be. So there's 3 main traffic challenges that we're going to identify right now. I'm going to play a short video. There's 2 or 3 short videos, and then I'll narrate the rest of it.
First, much of the morning traffic in Santee is due to State Route 52. As trucks and commuters from El Cajon and other nearby communities climb westbound 52, they cause a slowdown, which leads to backups on local streets. Second, in the afternoon and evening, the bridge over the San Diego River heading east is another choke point. 3 eastbound lanes merge down to 2, causing a slowdown. Third, what makes morning traffic even worse is an outdated on-ramp at Mast Boulevard. It allows just a few cars to merge onto 52 at a time, creating long lines. We have a plan to address these issues.
Now we're going to look at the solutions, but I would like to say that SR 52 is majorly congested right now, and we are the first developer that has taken on this task to fix the traffic for all of Santee.
Our first proposed solution is to add an additional westbound lane on 52 to speed the flow of cars heading up and out of Santee. Here is a stretch of 52 just west of the landfill. Today, there are 3 lanes, as indicated by 3 yellow arrows. We will add a 4th westbound lane and move the bike path to the eastbound side of the highway, shown with a green line. That extra room for morning commuters will help traffic. Now let's look at the other direction, eastbound 52. By adding an additional lane on the San Diego River Bridge, we remove the funnel where 3 lanes go down to 2. Here's how the bridge looks today, just past the merge point. You see only 2 lanes, highlighted with 2 arrows. And here it is with a 3rd lane, shown in green, removing the funnel and clearing the slowdown. That extra lane on the bridge keeps cars moving freely all the way to State Route 125. Both of these improvements, both west and east on the 52, will help relieve congestion. Mast Boulevard traffic will improve with the increased capacity on 52. However, we want to do better. We will upgrade the 52 on-ramp at Mast Boulevard to a high-capacity on-ramp. Here it is today. There are 2 right-hand turn lanes from Mast onto the ramp, shown again with yellow arrows. Those 2 lanes collapse into just 1 before joining the freeway, leaving only 3 westbound lanes on the 52. By removing the merge, 2 lanes will connect with SR 52 instead of 1, making 4 total westbound lanes. Because there is no merging and 1 additional lane shown with the green arrow, traffic will flow more freely.
So these are some of the proposed improvements for 52. We're also doing one more that's not on this presentation, and that is, I mentioned it before to some people, if you're going southbound on 15 in the afternoon and you want to go eastbound on 52, you have to go through this really tight cloverleaf, and when you get onto when you merge onto 52 east, it's only about 100 feet that you have to merge. That is why the traffic backs up so badly on 15, because it can't, again, get onto 52. So what we're doing through Caltrans is we're going to add an auxiliary lane, a merge lane from 15 all the way to Santos Road. That's a span of about 1.5 miles. So instead of having 100 or so feet to merge onto 52 eastbound, you'll now have 1.5 miles. So that's going to reduce the congestion coming down 15. Okay, now we're going to look at some traffic scenarios. What we've done is we've done some scenarios of what happens when the improvements are put in. So what we're doing is we're going to, we have, I want to go through this so everyone understands. We have cars, when they're traveling at speed limit, they're going to be colored in green. When they are traveling a little bit slower than full speed, 45 to 60 miles an hour, the color of the cars will be yellow. As they get slower, they now turn to orange when they're going 30 to 45 miles an hour. And then finally, they'll be red when they're traveling below 30 miles an hour. So now let's look at the traffic simulations that we've done. And what we base these traffic simulations on are on today, what's happening today, right now, what's happening in the year 2035 if all the surrounding communities that Sandag has told us are going to be built in the next 15, 20 years. That includes all of them in the region, but it does not include Fanita Ranch, and it does not include the Fanita Ranch improvements. And then we have another one that shows what happens when all the surrounding developments that Sandag has projected are built, plus our improvements, plus Fanita Ranch is all built out in the year 2035. We picked 2035 because Sandag has all the numbers for that year, and it's going to be close to when we would be projecting to finish our project. Our project will take 15, maybe 16, 17 years, depending on the economy. So let's look at the simulations. This is what I just explained. I want to go through it one more time. We're looking at traffic today scenario. We're looking at traffic in 2035 without Fanita Ranch or our traffic improvements, but surrounding other developments in the region that will be built in that time frame. And then the third one is traffic in 2035 plus the surrounding developments that are built, plus our development and our traffic improvements. So there's one more video to watch.
Now let's take a look at 52. Here's the freeway during the morning commute. Notice all the red, looks like small ants. Those are cars traveling less than 30 miles per hour. The backup exists before you even get to Mast. That's due to traffic from El Cajon and other communities to the east and south, choking traffic from the 125 freeway to the 15 freeway. Today, it takes about 24 minutes to go the 6 miles from Fanita Parkway to Santo Road. And here's a projection for the westbound 52 in the morning in 2035. Please note, this is traffic without Fanita Ranch and without our proposed improvements. You can see the traffic gets worse and the travel time increases by 70%, up to 41 minutes. In 2035, with Fanita Ranch residents and the extra westbound lane that we have planned, traffic will be even better than it is today. Down to 18 minutes, even after adding in Fanita's new residents. This says it all. In 2035, travel time will be 70% longer than it is today. And that's without Fanita Ranch traffic. And more important, the Fanita Ranch traffic improvements. With Fanita Ranch and the Fanita Ranch improvements, travel time will be 25% shorter than today. Let's not forget the issues with the evening commute heading back to Santee on eastbound 52. Here's how it looks today. About 18 minutes to get from Santo Road to Mission Gorge. This is a projection for 2035 without Fanita Ranch or traffic upgrades. The travel time increases. This is 2035 with Fanita Ranch and the extra eastbound lane over the San Diego River Bridge. With this lane, there won't be the bottleneck where 52 merges down to 2 lanes. The lane Fanita Ranch will add cuts the travel time from today's 18 minutes down to just 12 minutes. Here's the difference for eastbound SR 52 in 2035. Travel times will increase to 21 minutes without Fanita Ranch or our planned improvements. With Fanita Ranch improvements and traffic from its residents, travel times will be 33% shorter than it is today. This is the morning peak hour commute time today on Mast Boulevard. If you live in Santee, you know how bad it is today. You'll see the average travel time for a car to go from Fanita Parkway to the 52 is 16 minutes. Notice the long backup onto Mast Boulevard. This is a projection for the morning commute in 2035 without any improvements. You can see the traffic gets worse, backing up past Santee Lakes, and the travel time doubles to 32 minutes. This is 2035 again, but now with Fanita Ranch, including its new residents and traffic improvements. There is still traffic, but because of Fanita's improvements, travel from Fanita Parkway to SR 52 will take only 11 minutes. Here's the difference for Mast Boulevard in 2035. Travel from Fanita Parkway to SR 52 will double from 16 minutes to 32 minutes. With Fanita Ranch and its residents, traffic will be even better than it is today.
I'd just like to mention one more thing about Mast Boulevard. I get a lot of questions that Mast Boulevard is under-designed, and that's why the traffic is so backed up onto Mast Boulevard. Mast Boulevard is not under-designed. It has plenty of capacity. The reason it backs up is because the cars can't get onto the freeway fast enough. And that's why we're adding another lane on the on-ramp to get the cars on faster. And to prove that, if you think about it, when you're coming home in the evening and you get off at Mast Boulevard and you go east on Mast Boulevard, there's no congestion on Mast Boulevard because it's not under designed. It's only under designed because the cars can't get on the freeway quickly enough in the morning. So this is a very good slide. This shows the capacity that we are going to add to SR 52. And this is the capacity that Fanita Ranch is going to use, about a quarter of the entire capacity that we're generating. So therefore, the rest of the residents in Santee get to use that 75%. What's even more compelling is we have said that we're building these improvements before we have the first person move into Fanita Ranch, which means for the first several years, all that capacity is going to be for the residents of Santee, because there won't be hardly any people living in Fanita Ranch yet. So this is an independent study that was done by the city. It wasn't done by us. That shows that these improvements will not happen unless Fanita Ranch is approved. Again, that was a study that was done by the city, not by us. So this might be the most important slide that we're going to talk about tonight, particularly with one of the previous items that was on the agenda, is what proof do the residents of Santee have that we're actually going to do what we say we're going to do? Well, we will have proof. We're working with the development agreement with the city manager right now. That should be done around the end of this year, and it will spell out exactly the improvements that we are going to do to SR 52 and when they're going to be done. And it's going to state that they will be done before the first person occupies the first home in Fanita Ranch. It'll be a recorded document. It's a development agreement, and if we go against the development agreement, if we don't do what we say we're going to do, the city will shut us down. It's guaranteed to happen. So Fanita Ranch has been in the general plan since 1980. We're going to now look at some of the streets that are going to serve Fanita Ranch, particularly Fanita Parkway and Cuyamaca, which were designed to handle traffic in and out of Fanita Ranch. They just haven't been expanded yet. First of all, there's Fanita Parkway and Cuyamaca. We're extending them north into our project from Mast Boulevard, and we're doing improvements along the way. This shows them going onto our project. In addition, though, what we're doing, and we didn't have to do this as part of our traffic study, but we are extending Magnolia from just north of City Hall here, turning west and tying into Cuyamaca. We didn't have to do that, but we wanted to do that to make sure we have added safety so we can get people out of Fanita Ranch in case there's an emergency. But also what we're doing is we are building it so people from Fanita Ranch will not go down Cuyamaca wanting to get over to 67 or to Magnolia and cut through the residential streets that have little kids and driveways on them. We didn't want to do that. So we've agreed to extend Magnolia to tie into Cuyamaca. And this shows the direction of the streets that are going to be improved. So now let's look at what we're doing to Fanita Parkway. The green part shows that we are increasing. We're going to 4 lanes on Fanita Parkway from Mass Boulevard to Lake Canyon. And this is generally what it's going to look like. There'll be a median, landscaped median in the middle of the street, 2 lanes each direction with landscaping in the parkways and bike lanes. So this is what it looks like today. Now you notice the big green belt. On the far right is a parking lot at Padre Dam. And by the way, we're working with Padre Dam to make sure that aesthetically and we're taking care of the noise between the new Fanita Parkway and Padre Dam. We're working with them right now to make sure that we don't disrupt their customers. So this is what it's going to look like when the road's built. You can see where we're keeping it as far away from the existing residential houses as we can. Now from Lake Canyon north to Ganley, there will be 2 lanes southbound and 1 lane northbound. But the city has asked us on the northbound lanes that in case there's a car that gets a flat tire or breaks down, it won't be blocking the roads because there will be a median in the way. So the road's wide enough if the car breaks down, you'll still be able to get by. And that will also aid for emergency vehicles. So again, this is what it looks like today. And this is what it will look like when the new road's built. Similarly, as we continue up Fanita Parkway onto Fanita Ranch, we will have 1 lane in each direction, but there's enough pavement to accommodate emergency vehicles, or if you have to evacuate the community, there'll be 2 lanes. There'll be striped for 2 lanes in emergency purposes to come to go southbound, and there will also be the ability for fire trucks to use 2 lanes going in. This is what it looks like today. There's no road out there today. This is north of Ganley. That trail is a trail that the bike riders are using to access Stowe Trail right now. And this is what it will look like when the road's built. So now let's look at Cuyamaca. I'm not going to spend quite as much time on Cuyamaca because it's very similar to Fanita Parkway. But we are going to have 4 lanes, 2 in each direction, from Mass Boulevard to Wood Glen Vista. And you can see there's a median with landscaping on it, and then there's also parkways and bike trails as well. So this is what it looks like today. You can see how wide the median is. There's two lanes going north today, and there's 1 lane coming south. What we're doing again is we're not putting any of this road improvements closer to the existing homes. We're simply adding a lane where the median was built wider than it needed to be. After we get north of Wood Glen Vista, we will have 1 lane going north and 2 lanes coming south, just like we did on Fanita Parkway. The 1 lane going north will be wide enough that if a car breaks down again, you'll be able to get by it. So now we're going to look at some of the internal streets within Fanita Ranch. Melanie's had a few slides showing this as well. Our streets are going to be designed to be pedestrian friendly. And also, Fanita Ranch is at least a semi-self-sufficient community. What that means, if you want to get a gallon of milk, or you want to get your nails done, or you want to get your dry cleaning done, there's going to be that kind of shopping in Fanita Ranch. Probably going to be a small grocery store, about the same size as Trader Joe's or something like that. We're going to have a K-8 school. It's going to be an on-site fire station, plenty of parks and playgrounds, and we're really pushing the trails, the healthiness of our community, getting people out of their cars and hiking and biking. And we're doing this using complete streets. What does complete streets mean? What it means is we're going to have traffic calming features. What this does is it slows down traffic where pedestrians are, and it's much more bike friendly. This is one of the roundabouts that we have designed. We also have landscape medians, wider medians in certain areas, again, to slow the traffic down. And we also have pedestrian bike-friendly intersections. We did mention the extensive bike network. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get people out of their cars. We're going to have bike trails, bike lanes all throughout our streets. But in addition to that, we're planning 35 miles of trails for hiking and biking. We have a traffic demand management plan that again encourages walking, biking, electric vehicle use, and we're going to have a shuttle system. The shuttle system is going to go from our town center in the morning down to the Santee town center where the trolley is to take commuters from Fanita Ranch down to the trolley to get on the trolley and go downtown or wherever they need to go.
Can I break in for a minute? How will that be paid for?
It's going to be funded by the Homeowners Association, unless Sandag wants to give us the money.
Oh, they had one, I think it was in Venice, and it ended up costing about $100,000 a year, and that can be, homeowners association can get real tired of that real quick.
We're looking at those projections right now, but it looks like it'll work. It'll work fine.
Okay.
So again, what our transportation demand management plan is designed to reduce car trips and emissions, promote alternative transportation, and get people moving on their own outside of their cars. In summarizing, I'd just like to once again reiterate that we are going to build a westbound lane from Mass Boulevard to 15, a eastbound lane over the San Diego River Bridge, a high-capacity on-ramp, and that's all going to be done prior to the first person moving in. We're also going to do improvements to Fanita Parkway and Cuimaca and also extend Magnolia. We can improve the traffic with Fanita Ranch for the citizens of Santee. That concludes my presentation. I'll be glad to answer questions now or anytime anyone has any questions. Can you do speaker slips now? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Before you go, I got one question. Playing devil's advocate here. Say that you do all the work you've done so far, and this council does not approve your project. How much money have you sunk into this?
Not including what we paid for the property, we're about $15 million in.
And if we don't approve this, how do you get your money back?
They will probably reduce my salary to minimum wage. I don't think we have any recovery of that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
How many speaker slips do I have?
22.
22. You know what? I hate to throw this at you, but that's a long time. Let's go with 2 minutes for each speaker. And also, just as a reminder, as you come up and speak, please stick to the questions or comments regarding the workshop. Because in the past, we've had folks have come up and wanted to, launch investigations at the dais, at the lectern, and we don't do that here. We actually refer to the city attorney to do investigations on any kind of suspected criminal conduct or conflicts of interest. So I'd appreciate it if we could just stick on topic tonight. Please call the first speaker.
Van Collinsworth.
Oh, lucky Van. Oh, hold on a second. Can you do me a favor? Call the next two speakers as we do this. That way they're queued up to go.
Michelle Perchez, and then Stacy Lemetico.
Go ahead, Van.
Good evening again, Council. Van Collinsworth. I noticed that the applicant used the word will a lot. I think I'm pretty skeptical about that. I think they probably should have used the word may. A lot of it depends upon the assumptions that are based into their models and so forth. I'll give you an example. I think Melanie mentioned 26,000 vehicle trips per day being generated by the current project proposal in the draft DIR. Similar size project that the council approved, the first project that was approved, 3,000 units almost back in 1998, that was supposed to generate well over 36,000 vehicle trips per day. So, yeah, maybe it's a little bit different project, but that's a big difference based upon assumptions. So maybe we're getting kind of a rosy picture because Jeff wants to keep a good salary going. So I just, kind of look at it from that perspective. So I guess in terms of the traffic, all of it lands on or crosses Mass Boulevard. And of course, there's residential driveways on both sides of Mass Boulevard. And all of those people are going to be tremendously impacted by a project of this size, whatever that number turns out to be. So, I think probably the best thing to do, and well, let me put it this way. In any of the presentations that I've heard so far, I haven't heard the cost of what these improvements are that they're going to try to do, or where that money is going to be coming from. So that would be interesting to do. And I've got a lot more to say, but I've been saying it for 25 years, so I'll save you.
Thanks. Sure.
Michelle Perchez, followed by Stacy Lemetico, and then Michael Ranson.
Good evening, Council and City staff. First of all, I want to thank you for holding these individual workshops so we can dig a little bit deeper. I was wondering if you could possibly list all the workshops online and tell us the dates and the topics ahead of time so we can sort of prepare a little bit better. The questions that I have about your transportation plans, are they considering and dovetailing with any fire evacuation plans? So I'm talking mainly about the circulation on the existing streets. And what are the specific plans in case of a fire, right? What various routes are going to be picked for evacuation? What are fire and law enforcement personnel going to tell residents? Evacuation or shelter in place? That's going to impact your transportation plans. Surely a forward-thinking project would give those considerations as well. In the Witch Creek fire, I have friends that it took them 2 hours to get to the 15 freeway. So are we learning lessons from that? What are we thinking about those sorts of issues? And then that was interesting about the shuttle to town center. I was wondering if you have a specific timeline of when that shuttle would be operating. Thank you.
Stacy Lemetico, followed by Michael Ranson, and then Mary Hyder.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. My name is Stacy Lemetico. I've lived here for 31 years. I've raised 2 adult children, and thank God we're finally going to get a plan development. And the only reason that I say that is because we continue to do infill, like KB Homes at 81 Homes and others, which is fine. However, what we really need is what we saw today, which is a self-contained community. It takes me an hour to get downtown to my office that I had at one point. I had 2 offices. One downtown took me 50 minutes. The one at Convoy, 11 miles away, took me an hour. But it doesn't have to be that way. And the other side of what I keep hearing is the traffic, 52, 52. I don't know about you, but the traffic on Saturdays and Sundays is worse. Getting anywhere from my house to downtown Santee, because that's where everybody goes. We're not going to anywhere else because that's the 57,000 residents go to one location, and that's the traffic. If you do that on a Tuesday morning or a Tuesday afternoon at 10 o'clock, it can take me 3 minutes, barring lights, of course. But if you do it on a Saturday, I have to plan at least 15 minutes because of the traffic. I'm not saying this is the panacea, this is it, this is the development we need. None of us can. We can't do that until we really see the environmental impacts. And that's really when we'll be able to see what the project is. And many people say will or may. We have a long way to go, but I really, truly appreciate the fact that you're doing these workshops now ahead of time so that we don't spend 5 hours having 2 meetings and having a community that doesn't understand what's being presented. And in the end, it may be that we as a community don't want Finita Ranch. But at least it's the planned community that we all said we wanted in 1980 or 1990 when the general plan was adopted. Thank you.
Thanks, Stacy.
Michael Ranson, followed by Mary Hyder, and then Courtney Mell.
Good evening. Mayor, I just want to say thank you for the 9/11 memorial earlier today. That was great. It actually helped me put in perspective the issue of traffic. I'd say that the one thing I want to say is I actually went to the Sandag meeting last Friday, decided to go down there, and I left early, 5 hours after the 3-hour meeting was supposed to end. So spent some time listening to the people. That was the board of directors, so it was the mayor and council members from all of our county. And I think I told someone earlier in the week, coming back the 52 and coming up over the summit, it was beautiful, but it made me realize that I don't think the people that are down there at the board of directors meeting have any idea that we're here and that they're going to give us any kind of money for any kind of improvements on the 52. There's definitely a concern for the 5 corridor from Imperial Beach to Oceanside. There's a few people that are concerned as well. I think the Mayor of San Marcos, I think, is a good person, that some others, but I don't see any money for the 52 coming from the Sandag, not in 2035 and not 50 years from now. So I think we need a solution. About 5 years ago, I didn't really know much about Finita Ranch, this particular project. I called Home Fed and I said, I want to find out about this. Jeff came to my home and showed me some plans, and he said the first thing we've got to do is fix traffic. So I think they've been working on this. They've done a great job, I believe. Someone mentioned assumptions, and I don't consider them assumptions. I consider them work from traffic engineers. So I think that's I think this is a good step. One thing I'd like to say is this contract with the city to have these improvements done before occupancy is the most important part of this project, I believe.
Thank you.
Mary Hyder, followed by Courtney Mell, and then Manuel Garcia.
Hi there. I was concerned at first when I saw that HomeFed would be their choice to do these improvements. I appreciated hearing that it would be part of a development agreement that this would happen. But like, what is the timing? Like, when will the first resident move in? I mean, what is the timeline for getting the improvements in place for 52? What order? How is that going to work? I mean, are they going to start developing the homes? And the residents haven't moved in yet, but we haven't worked on the roads. Concerned about that. Michelle mentioned the safety and bottlenecks. I'm concerned about that too, so I'd want to be reassured that that's covered. You know, back to the timeline and price tag, you know, somebody else mentioned, like, what if this development doesn't happen? Is this something, do we know how much this would cost? Is it something the city could somehow find money to make these improvements? I mean, I'm somebody who's in traffic every day, so I'd really appreciate that. And I thought when the Weston development went in, I thought there was supposed to be some improvements along Mast. Has that happened? I mean, have we noticed that? I mean, they did the work, but has it improved? Kind of rambling on here, but my biggest concerns is the timing, and I'm also concerned that this plan, if it were to go through, it doesn't conform to the general plan. So kind of rambled on, but that's that. Okay.
Courtney Mell, followed by Manuel Garcia, and then Sharon Love.
Thank you very much. I want to first off thank you for holding the workshop. My name is Courtney Male. I'm the engineering manager in charge of development and construction for Padre Dam Municipal Water District. This workshop is about traffic, and when most people think about traffic, they talk about the congestion, but there are some other impacts. Padre Dam is not the land use authority and would normally focus our comments on water, sewer, and recycled water service. However, Padre Dam is the owner and operator of the beautiful Santee Lakes Campground. This is a premier campground site and a community asset. The park is self-sufficient and is funded exclusively by user fees. As the owner, Padre Dam must ensure that the campground is protected. We have been working diligently with HomeFed. We'll continue to do so. But we want to also make sure that and have Padre Dam would like the City of Santee to adequately analyze in the EAR the potential noise and aesthetic impact of the traffic along Fanita Parkway, including the potential for a wall along the western side of Fanita Parkway. Thank you for your time.
Manuel Garcia, followed by Sharon Love, and then Martha Tassi.
Good evening. My name is Manuel Garcia, and I've been in Santee 44 years. And you know, there may be naysayers in the bunch or in the room, but you know, let's say 30 years ago when we first moved in here, we might have said, no, we don't want expansion, no, we don't want new people, no, we don't want new businesses. But you know, if you don't bring in new business, new homes, new people, your community will be stagnant. And right now, Santee is just a great place to live. I have kids that have grown up, gone to the schools. We have company coming and stay at our house for periods of time. And whenever they leave, they always say, what a great community this is. They don't say town, they don't say city, they say community. Because, you know, with all the goings on, for instance, I have company that come by and say, we've never seen a street sweeper come by in our house. Well, you know what pays for that? Taxes. You know, if you have a community that is going to be stagnant and not let new businesses come in, new homes, new people, new schools, it becomes stagnant. Pretty soon you don't have nothing going for you. I believe this is a good step in the right direction. Thank you.
Sharon Love, followed by Martha Tassi, and then Dan Bickford.
Hi, and good evening. Thank you for giving me a moment to speak, Mayor and council members. I moved here 3.5 years ago. The very first thing I noticed was 52. And I'm a different type of citizen. I look at, if I see a problem and I notice it, it's my responsibility to fix it. Oftentimes, I'll find people complaining about it. And I'm like, what did you do? I actually talked to the city. I talked to San Diego, and they told me at that time, we're not doing anything about it. And so then the solution is, obviously, everything takes money. So I'm like, okay, God, we need to bring in someone who's going to pay the bill, because this does need to grow. Most people don't realize it takes 2.3 children to sustain a community economically. And so we need a place where new people are coming in so that some of the older people can retire eventually. So I'm just excited that you have someone who it sounds like it's going to foot the bill. And I'm like, hey, what can I do to help? So thank you, guys.
Martha Tassi, followed by Dan Bickford, and then Mike Aiken.
Hi, I'm Martha Tassi. I've lived here for just over 30 years with my husband. We raised a family here. I have one observation that I don't see any of my friends and neighbors getting nostalgic for the rickety clapboard houses and dirt roads of yesteryear. We like our pavement, we like our sidewalks, we like our amenities, and we're going to need them upgraded. We're going to need more of that, so I think we're going to have to work with HomeFed here. I would ask that the city manager, the attorney, good people that you are, and the council, that you make sure that the mechanism by which we hold HomeFed accountable has some teeth, and that if they're messing with us, we just bite hard like a bad dog. And that's all I have to say, because I'm getting cranky now. I'm tired.
Dan Bickford, followed by Mike Aiken, and then Linda Marikow.
Dan Bickford, Santee resident. The alarmists will like to tout the trips, daily car trips there, because it's a big, huge number. But if you break it down, it's really not that huge of a number. If you talk about a nuclear family, a family of a man, a wife, and 2 children, dad goes to work in the day. There's 1 trip. Okay, mom takes the kids to school and then comes back home. There's 2 more trips. Mom goes over to the grocery store. There's 2 more trips. Now we're up to 5 trips for that family for that day. Then mom's got to go and collect the kids. There's 2 more trips. Now we're 7. Dad comes home. There's 8. Okay, so out of the area, Dad's the only one that left the area. The rest is in the neighborhood. Okay, so that big scary 30,000, which the alarmists first quoted, now they want to quote 36,000. When I looked at the sand egg trip calculators and looked at the types of units that we're building up there, I looked at about 24,000. I'm glad Fanita Ranch has got it about 26,000. Means I wasn't that far off. So getting 52 fixed, there's no other way other than getting Fanita Ranch going in there. We've got a beautiful project. It's very well planned. Fixed the roads, fixed the 52, and thank you very much.
Mike Aiken, followed by Linda Marikow, and then Karen.
Hi, Mike Aiken. I live on Ramsgate Way, and I'll be brief because a lot of the comments that I intended to make were already kind of echoed by a lot of the speakers ahead of me. You look around the room, you see a lot of things have changed since the year or 2 back when we come talk about Fanita Ranch, when there'd be a lot of angry no types. You got a room full of supporters here tonight, and that's a big difference. I want to commend the city staff and Fanita Ranch for being so transparent and getting the information out there, getting the real facts out there that will help quell a lot of the misinformation that is circulated around on social media. So I support this, and thanks again for your time.
Linda Marikow, Karen Villadu, and then Roger Simpson.
Hello, staff, mayor, and council. My name is Linda Markell. I have lived in the city of Santee for 62 years. I am just in awe that this project is in front of us. We really need a nice community to come in. We have people that are in their first-time homes and they want to move up, but they end up moving out with their families because there's no move up here in Santee. And when they move up housing to another home, it frees up for the first-time buyers. So it's a win-win. And with the freeway situation not going to be addressed by 52, we really need this. And I hope we don't lose this and then get stuck with some second-hand developer that, doesn't give us all these bells and whistles. We're Santee and we deserve this. We're citizens. This is our community. We take pride in this community. And I feel that this is finally a good project that will benefit all of us. And the 52 needs to be addressed for those people working and going back and forth. I did it for 20 years. It was misery. So I understand that commute. And this is the solution. Instead of waiting for Caltrans, we got our cake and let's eat it. We got cherries on top. Let's not blow this and end up with some second-rate development that won't give us these bells and whistles. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Karen Villadu, followed by Roger Simpson, and then Dennis Schroeder.
Mr. Mayor, good evening, council. live in Santee.
Your name, sir?
Roger Simpson.
Thank you.
I'd like to commend Fanita Ranch and their efforts over many, many years, and now this project that's before you is an example of what fine engineering can do. I'm a retired civil engineer. I've looked at their project. It's a real answer to the choking. I live right above the ramp where it goes on to Fanita and 52. You can hear the traffic every morning get stopped because they can't get on the freeway. I recommend highly approve this project. Thank you very much.
Karen Villadu, followed by Dennis Schroeder, and then Justin Slaffley.
I'm Karen Villadu, and my family's, we've been here since 1986. We raised 4 kids. We now have 3 grandkids, and we have been looking forward to Fanita Ranch for 20-some years. We get excited. We think it's a place for our kids to stay here where they love Santee, and there's really no place for them to go. And then there's 52. Since it wasn't made right the first time, this is our chance. I mean, if we can have any sort of improvement, it's sure not going to come from Caltrans. And there's an excitement building and a place for our children to go and our grandkids, and they can still be a part of Santee, which is a wonderful community, but it needs to grow and change and be infused by new people, new talent, and have our pride grow. I think this is an amazing thing, and if it could just come to fruition. Our backyard's on Cuyamaca, so it's not like we're not going to be affected, and our neighbors, they're all for it too. I think we need to be represented. People here, we need to say, yes, we want it, and not just lose again to the few people that said we don't get it. So, thank you.
Dennis Schroeder, followed by Justin Slaffley, and then Evelyn Andrade Hemsfield.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank HomeFed for stepping up and going above and beyond and giving this community what it really needs. I'm a transplant from the Midwest. I moved to Santee about 20 years ago. And, coming here and looking for homes and dealing with the traffic is much different here than the Midwest. But they're really moving forward and giving us great traffic improvements, and with that, I'm obviously in support. Green tag.
Not Cubs, right?
No, Nebraska.
Okay.
Justin Slaffley, followed by Evelyn Andrade Hemsfield, and then Janet Garvin.
All right. Thanks for having us all tonight. These workshops, my hat's off to staff and the City Council for indulging us, having these workshops. Obviously, this is a very important project. There's a lot to digest. I'm looking forward to having the environmental document, but seeing some of these issues in snippets and getting some more information has been really useful as far as informing my decision to support the project or not. I haven't concluded whether I'm going to support the project or not. I'm leaning towards it. There's a lot to love. You've seen a lot of these tags. For those who can't read the small print, it says, "Let's fix the 52," and I think we're all in favor of that. I know that Mayor and Council have been working hard, and many in the audience have been working hard on the 52 Coalition. I was really disappointed to hear the news out of Friday's Sandag meeting and the deprioritizing of the 52 and shifting of funds. And we're starting to get a little depressed out here. We're starting to say, where's the hope? And maybe this project is that hope that does fix the 52. There's very interesting points that were made. I love the little slideshows, but at the end of the day, I need to see it in writing. I need to see that development agreement. I need to see the EIR and see the numbers that back up what is being proposed. It sounds very promising, but I think Martha said it best. If HomeFed doesn't do what they say, then we have a great city attorney, city manager. Santee should be that bad dog, and we should bite hard. I absolutely agree with that. That's the funniest thing I heard tonight. Now, other than that, I did hear one other thing. Jeff O'Connor mentioned that maybe a little additional sweetener. He's going to fix the 15 connection to the 52 and add an aux lane between the 15 and Santo Road. So all those things show that Fanita and HomeFed are operating in good faith. I hope they continue to. I'm very excited about this project and the potential. Thank you.
Thanks.
Evelyn Andrade Hemsfield, followed by Janet Garvin, and then Janet McLeese.
Good evening. I'm here representing hundreds of Santee residents that I've spoken to walking door to door in District 1 who oppose Fanita Ranch for a variety of reasons. We are living under different circumstances when it comes to housing and the climate, both of which have solutions that are tied together. Any new developments should recognize the challenges and realities we are facing today and adapt accordingly. We know based on studies that building urban sprawl developments will only make the climate crisis worse and takes us in the wrong direction. Urban sprawl has many negative consequences for the environment and residents, including harmful effects on human health, something that's not being discussed in these workshops. While HomeFed is offering to make improvements to the 52, reality has shown that expanding freeways does not actually decrease traffic. All it does is encourage more people to drive, which results in the same traffic as before, and in some cases, more traffic. One example I'll point to is the 405 freeway in Los Angeles, where they spent $1.1 billion to expand a 10-mile stretch to improve traffic. A study done by USC recently found that adding lanes actually had little effect on easing traffic. In fact, it eased traffic initially, but after only 1 year, traffic was worse. Simulations are great, but I'm sure that they too did a simulation before spending $1.1 billion. I'm not anti-development. I recognize more than anyone that we are facing a housing crisis and we need affordable housing, but Fanita Ranch won't have affordable housing. And when I say affordable housing, I don't mean Section 8 housing, as some people have presumed. I'm speaking on behalf of residents that told me their children, many who grew up here, were raised here, cannot afford homes here. We need infill development that is affordable for people in my generation, housing that adapts to our current needs and ensures we have a thriving, resilient community for all. Lastly, at the last workshop, I asked if the city is capturing the increase in land value for the upzone and if the city will be benefiting financially from that increase. I still have not received an answer to that. Thank you.
Janet Garvin, followed by Janet McLeese, and then John Olson.
Yes, Janet Garvin. I'm concerned also, I'm skeptical about the improvements on the 52. All the research that I've done online looking at the effects of expanding freeways don't pan out to improve traffic. And in the long term, most of the studies that I looked at show that the research shows that traffic actually increases. So it's sort of like, if you build it, they will come. And I will give you an example. Locally, the 805 freeway between 52 and the 5 was expanded exponentially in the last few years. They touted the 21 lanes going through that area and how much that was going to improve traffic. And I know if you go that direction at any time during commute times, the traffic is still horrendous. So I am skeptical that I like the idea that maybe the 52 could be improved, but I'm very skeptical about whether the improvements will actually accomplish what we want. And the other thing was, I was just concerned about the simulations a little bit, because the times that they said it takes from Fanita Parkway to the freeway on Mast. I live there. I drive that way fairly often, and I can tell you that the time is not 15 or 16 minutes. It's like 30 minutes from Fanita Parkway to the freeway. So I'm not sure about the simulations either. So I'm skeptical. Thank you.
Janet McLeese, followed by John Olson, and the last speaker will be Tommy Huff.
I'm Janet McLeese, council, concerned citizens, staff. I've lived here for a long time. I recognize the need for growth in our valley, but that doesn't include the hillside that is called Fanita Ranch. I've watched too many raging fires to approve of building there. I appreciate the improvements that might come to 52. I too wonder if they actually will solve the problem. And By the way, women do go to work, and hopefully men take their kids to school once in a while, too. I also just want to mention that the rebranding brought rave reviews of Mission Trails Regional Park. Many named it the best part of Santee, but we know it's really not part of Santee. It would be great to see a way to actually have a park that hooks onto that actually is supported by Santee. I also would like to say that I think there were hundreds and hundreds of Santee voters that signed the general plan initiative because they wanted a voice. And the opposition to Fanita Ranch proposal was a huge part of why they signed it. I listened to them, and I hope you will too.
John Olson, and the last speaker will be Tommy Huff.
John Olson, live in Lake Canyon Court in Santee. As long as we're saying how long we lived here, I've lived here for 51 years. So, big whoop. Okay, I'm for Fanita Ranch. For me, it can't get here fast enough. The 52, I mean, if they say they're going to fix it and they're not going to let anybody move in until it's ready to go, you can't get much better than that. I mean, the city is going to not provide them or give them occupancy for the buildings that are going to be built simultaneously, I'm assuming, while the 52 is being built. And if the 52 doesn't work or they don't build it, then you're not going to let people move in and they're just wasting more money. I think Jeff's pretty smart guy. He's probably going to finish the 52 so he can build some houses. What happens if they don't build Fanita Ranch? So they have this big asset that's sitting out there that they bought for pennies on the dollar, and then what do? Do they sell it to the government so that they could put base housing there and run a little road along Miramar Way, extend that all the way through, and then all of those people they live in Santee, they pay government taxes? I don't know, does a government building like that pay taxes, property tax? We don't get their sales tax. So there are lots of other options, and going through what we've put Home Fed through for the last 8 to 10 years, doing all of this is a big pain in the butt. They have other options, but the people that I have met at Home Fed and the people that I've talked to and people that I've talked to around the county that have worked with them before all say that they do what they say and they're stand-up good folks. How can we say no to this project? We get expanded 52, we get lower traffic, we get a new revenue source. I mean, as expenses go up in the community, I know we're always talking up here about where we're going to find money for public safety, and this is one way to find money for public safety. Thanks.
Tommy Huff.
Hello, good evening. My name is Tommy Howe. Fanita Ranch is a proposal that I recall learning about over a decade ago, and I recall going up into the area where it's proposed and thinking it was the wrong place and the wrong kind of development for our growing region, which indeed does need greater amounts of housing. Here in Santee, there is the opportunity to do housing right, but this isn't it. This is a development plan that looked good and made sense in 1980. In an era where we need to be growing up vertically and not out, Fanita Ranch is essentially an invitation for a greater amount of sprawl, something no community in San Diego wants more of. Urban sprawl has significant consequences, including higher rates of water and air pollution, increased traffic, increased car dependency, increased runoff into our lakes and streams, and an irreplaceable loss of natural habitats, wildlife, and open space, as well as harmful effects on human health, including higher rates of obesity, high blood pressure, hypertension, and chronic diseases. That's not the team I think we want to be playing for. And think of the amount of sprawl that has shown up in Santee just since 1980. The zoning created for Fanita Ranch is outdated and doesn't recognize the challenges and realities we face today in our neighborhoods and in our region in regard to climate change and with our housing crisis. Previous testimonies at previous hearings have mentioned at length how this proposal will increase traffic and recklessly put homes in a fire-prone area. Wildfire loves to burn uphill. We have young families here who want homes. We want to accommodate them. We want them to stay and grow their families and businesses. I realize that infill has a cost, but infill is more affordable for the consumer It requires less resources to construct. It can often be dropped in closer to schools and public transit as opposed to sprawl development that will increase the number of cars on our roads. We have an opportunity to get things right in Santee. Consider infill, and please reconsider Finita Ranch. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.